I woke up to my bedroom being exactly the way it's always been when I opened my eyes the next morning. I saw my twisted sister stay hungry poster to the left of my bed, as I always sleep on my left side facing the wall. I turned over and sat up quickly, seeing my WASP poster, my Judas Priest poster, and all of my posters in fact, right where they were before. I hopped out of bed still in my sweatpants and I Love Puppies t-shirt, and all my cassette tapes were back in their cases in the cabinet and neatly organised alphabetically, just like they were before. Next I hit the closet, and you guessed it, all my Metal Gear was back, as well as my skulls and other metal-related objects on my desk. I stood in the middle of the room and said softly but excitedly, "Yes, it worked." Everything was exactly the same. Well, except the guitar. Instead of the guitar my parents had bought me, sitting in the corner against the wall was what looked to be a brand new snake-skinned Peavey, just like Ricky's. Ricky must have sold his soul too, I thought. Beside the guitar was a small amplifier, the plugins, and a lightning bolt strap. I didn't have any of that stuff before. Cool, I thought. I then looked at my arm, and the number 2556 now flashed on my right bicep. Okay, I said to myself. I can have anything I want. All I gotta do is ask for it and achieve my desires, so to speak. I decided to start off small and said, "I want a cup of coffee." My eyes blinked and there it was, sitting on the desk where I write my songs, a cup of freshly brewed hot coffee with cream and sugar, just the way I like it. I smiled, grabbed the cup and took a sip, and it was the best tasting coffee I've ever had. I put the cup back on the desk, taking another sip first, and thought, okay, let's go a little bit bigger this time. I decided that I wasn't going to ask for money. And I know what you're thinking. What an idiot. I would have asked for tons of money. And yes, I could have done that. But think about it. I was already getting anything I wanted just by asking for it, so money would have been pointless. I decided on a new car instead. My dream car, which was a 1967 Ford Mustang hardtop, fire engine red with flames painted on the side. So I asked for it. My eyes blinked again and I ran downstairs as fast as I could and whipped open the front door, looking anxiously towards the driveway. But there it sat, my old rust-covered Chevy Chevette. I was heartbroken and I hung my head and shut the door. Well, I guess that's over, I whispered to myself. Just then my mum came down the hallway, looking normal again, and said, "Good morning, Michael. There's coffee in the pot, cereal's in the cabinet, and the milk's in the fridge. I'm going to visit your Aunt Catherine in Virginia for the day, and your dad's working a double shift, so you'll be on your own for dinner, okay? See you tomorrow. Love you, honey. Bye." "Love you too, Mum. Be safe," I said sadly. I started to walk back upstairs, completely disappointed as my mum opened the front door to leave. I was halfway up the stairs then, though, when I heard my mum say, "Michael, when did you get a new car?" I perked up, turned around quickly, practically falling down the stairs, and ran to the door, pulling it open further as I almost hit my mum. "Hey," she said. "Sorry, Mum," I replied quickly, as I anxiously looked towards the driveway, once again my eyes wide. "No effing way," I exclaimed loudly. "Michael Patrick, don't you use language in this house," my mum said in her best angry mum voice. "Sorry, Mum," I said again, as I took off towards the driveway, hooting, hollering and jumping up and down with excitement. My mum got in her car, shaking her head as she backed out the driveway, and drove off down the road. "I've got to show this thing off," I said once I'd calmed down. "Where are the keys?" I began patting the pockets of my sweatpants. "Damn, not there," I mumbled, frustrated. I looked in the driver's side window, and they were there in the ignition. "Dumbass," I said, slapping myself on the forehead. I quickly ran back upstairs and got my wallet and Sammy Hagar's VOA cassette and hopped in the car, my car, and fired that mother up. Man, did she sound nice. I put it in reverse, backed out of the driveway and headed into town. I'll add it to my insurance policy tomorrow, I thought. And as I drove down our road, I came upon Susan's house. Ah, yes, Susan Myers, the most beautiful girl in the world. At least I thought so. She was about 5'3", curly brown hair, with beautiful bright green eyes and glasses, and it doesn't hurt that she's chunky in all the right places. Anyway, she was out in the front yard walking her little Chihuahua dog, whose name was Cupcake, or something cute like that. I slowed down as I passed her house, bent over the passenger seat so she could see it was me, and I smiled, waved and yelled out, "Hi, Susan," saying to myself, I want you so bad. I sat back up in the driver's seat and started to speed back up, just so happening to look in the rearview mirror to see her waving her arms for me to stop and come back. My eyes widened again as I hit the brakes harder than Mike Tyson hits his opponents, and the brakes locked, the tires squealed and smoked just a little bit as I backed up to her house. I leaned over to the passenger side window as she walked towards the car, dog in tow. She picked up the dog, holding it on her arms, and said, "Hi, I love puppies too," after obviously reading my t-shirt. "Do you want to go and see a movie with me Friday night?" "Wait," I said. "You are asking me out?" "Yes," she responded with a smile. "What do you say?" I was completely in shock as I sat there with my mouth wide open and not believing what I had just heard. The girl of my dreams is asking me out. I could barely get my tongue to work as I muttered, "Yeah." She smiled that amazing smile and said, "Cool. Pick me up at 8. Nice car. Bye." She turned around, still holding the dog, and I watched her do her little bouncy strut up the walkway and into the house. Lord have mercy. If my memory serves me right, I think I actually had to wipe the drool from my lip. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of the date. I'll just say that she's a very nice person, inside and out. Desire achieved. She went off to college soon after, and I heard she'd become a paranormal investigator, which is kind of cool, but anyway. I composed myself and continued driving to town. And once there, I put in the Sammy Hagar cassette tape and fast-forwarded it to I Can't Drive 55, then cranked it up. In retrospect, I probably looked like a complete idiot driving up and down the main street of town, blaring a song like I Can't Drive 55, while driving 25 miles an hour. As any driver knows, that's the speed limit in most small towns. But I was young and thought I was cool. And after about 30 minutes, I got bored driving around in circles, and that song was getting on my nerves. Besides, Reggie, the town sheriff, pulled in behind me on my last roll through, so I figured I'd turn it down and just head home before I got into trouble. When I got home, the house was completely empty, so what better time to try out this new guitar, I thought. I went upstairs to my room, plugged in the amp, plugged one end of the plug into the guitar and the other end into the amp, grabbed a pick, attached the strap to the guitar, put it over my head and onto my shoulder, turned the amp on, waited for the hum, stood like a rock star and strummed an open chord. "Oh yeah," I said as the sound filled my ears. "Now to actually see if I can play this thing. I want to play like a rock god," I said to the open air. I reached in one of my desk drawers and pulled out my Metallica Ride the Lightning tablature book and opened it up to my favorite song, Fight Fire with Fire. I grabbed a pick, positioned my hands on the fretboard, and began to dink out the chords. I messed up and tried again, over and over, getting quickly frustrated. I was about to give up and put the book away, when suddenly my left hand grabbed the fretboard tight, my right hand grabbed the pick, and together they began wailing out this incredible, intricate freestyle solo that would have made Steve Vai jealous. I tried to stop them, I really did, but I couldn't. It was like they had a mind of their own. After about 10 minutes of this, they stopped playing and I regained control of my hands again. I immediately unstrapped the guitar and tossed it across the room, it bouncing off the bed before it hit the floor. Massive feedback came through the amp, and I stood there staring at my hands, completely flabbergasted. "Holy hell, I can play the guitar," I said happily. "Well, at least my hands can." Suddenly then the phone rang, so I ran down the hallway to the phone and picked it up, thinking it was my mum or dad, but it wasn't either. "Hello?" I said into the receiver. Hi, this is Ricky Blaze." "Not my friend Ricky, another Ricky." "May I speak to Michael?" he said. "This is him," I replied. "My bandmates and I are looking for a second guitarist, like Rat and Twisted Sister both have, and I wanted to know if you would like to come and audition for the spot." "Wait," I said. "Who are you? How do you know my name? How did you get this number, and how do you know I even play the guitar?" There was a long pause. I'm Ricky Blaze. Well, Richard Bellington, really. I play guitar in a rock band called Blackened Image. I don't really know how I know all that stuff. I was just sitting here about 5 minutes ago, when something in my head told me to call this number and ask for you. It was really strange," he said. "So do you want to audition?" "Yeah, I always wanted to be in a rock band," I answered. "Great. You know that old abandoned church on Dead Man's Lane, right?" Now I had been down Dead Man's Lane plenty of times, and I did not remember any church on that road, let alone an abandoned one. But I said, "Yeah, I know it." "Cool. 3 o'clock at the church. See you then." "Later, dude," he said. "Later," I replied as I hung up the phone. I stood there in the hallway totally confused. There's no church on that road. Hey, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed my video. And if you did, could you please give me virtual hugs by subscribing and clicking that notifications button. I also have a Patreon page and YouTube channel membership if you'd like to support me further. Thank you again for being here. Keep being creepy.